Howdy, YouTube. We're doing a tier list because that's what we do for engagement here in EX5. And I'm
Of course.
joined by K Beats, the man,
I
and
am a man.
yeah, we're gonna be going through all of the like decent decks from the last format, all of the new decks of EX5, and all of the decks that got support through the two box toppers because we've got the third anniversary pack, which has the Saberdramon, Drakmon, Bastimon, Destro, Pause Plugin P, and Prism Garrett. And then there's also a
Mhm.
limited card set V2 finally dropping. So we've got Zuba,
Finally.
Seasdramon,
Seedramon, yeah.
Etamon, Quagamon, Raremon, and Skullgreymon. So all of the decks that those support are also in there, even though
And the decks that, can no longer be supported by these cards, like the Zubamon.
rest in peace.
At least we out of it, we got the first sort of choice restriction list, which is actually very neat.
Yeah, they really pushing new ground there. But I don't know, onwards and upwards. That's gonna be, I think we talk about on the pod one day. We'd be like, what cards can come off the ban list if they're choice restricted?
Oh, okay, yeah, if they're choice restricted. You
No,
had me there for a second.
yeah. We're not just letting Tommy Himi off again. We've got to put like an ankle bracelet on him or something.
Bro's staying at home on probation.
All right, I
You need
guess. Do we want to go alphabetically, or do you want to just go
We
for?
can do alphabetically. I think that's fine. The main thing to take away from this tier list is that EX5 is going to be very much like its own self-contained format, pretty much Nats format, where North America they're going to be playing EX5 for their like finals, but the rest of the world not. And also, um, do remember that there's a ban list that doesn't impact EX5. The ban list will only go into effect during BT15, so decks like Anubis are full power. So
Yeah, I guess like there's the bias of we are European, therefore this Mickey Mouse format.
true.
Whereas for the general majority of the English speaking player base, very important format. Alphamon, Fringe Pick, like Rogue Deck to ever Rogue Deck.
I think I don't know. Anubis is like stupidly fast, so it's like you know every deck basically have to compare it to something like Anubis. But at the same time, like I think if you wanted to take Alpha, um, I would probably say it's a 128 deck. There have been players that have gotten a lot of success with the deck, especially in Latin America. I think the deck got an even higher placing than the UK event. So, there's always the Alpha One tricks lurking around doing their thing, but I think the deck will probably struggle into Nubis just because it might get a little bit outspent. Like Alpha needs a turn or two to like set up its pieces, and even then,
Yeah,
it's not always like a surefire like you win the game when you do your combo. A lot of the times it's just like
we have seen alphas as well where they like I guess back in like Crossheart, they were running Chikurimon as just like a floodgate of choice to stop you from reducing
mm-hmm,
play cost. Like I could
mm-hmm.
see maybe alphas instead of going straight X antibody package, teching in Chikuri to give them like a little bit extra time to play.
I can see
Um,
that playing to
but
the format more.
still, yeah, like
I
I'd
think
say it will top 128 for
I
sure. It's just
agree.
whether like some mad lad is gonna just high roll people to top 32.
It's also that like Black in the set didn't get like any new generic tool that I can think of. Like if we look at EX5 and you look at like the black cards that the like category got, I don't think there's like oh, actually I just realized Protoform might actually help a little bit.
Oh,
Um
true. I guess they're giving up evolving during damage step, which for people like
it's
H is
fine.
super important, or at least the way I'm
Yeah,
used to seeing him play. But then again, he also like topped an event without X antibody at all, so I think he'll be quite happy to play like protoform.
I think Protoform is definitely neat. And it's like in other decks, not to spend too much time on Alpha, but like this is the deck that can search this card the most consistently. And it kind of can use all parts of the card. Like the card is really good if you want to sit on BT13 Alpha to just like floodgate your opponent for a turn. And I think like Alpha can kind of play two ways where they can try to floodgate the Anubis player. But even then, like Anubis can still bring out the Merva and then the Merva with the Saberdramons can just like out the alpha stack anyway. Unless you then do alpha and Congo, then it's a bit of a pickle.
Yeah, but then you're also like not advancing your game state. You're kind of
Mm-hmm.
just stalling to not die.
Yeah, I think it's a 128 deck for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be someone that can prove us wrong, push it into top 32. But like,
Mm-hmm.
if someone
I'm
brings it,
happy to see it.
like if you're bringing it to Nats, you probably have a game plan that we
Oh
are
yeah.
not privy to.
I agree. Next deck.
Amphimon.
Where would you put this deck?
Side event at worst, but like genuinely, like Amphimon kind of
Kind of cooks, right?
yeah, like it cooks, but the problem I think is it might just be a little too slow. It's only got one thing of protection per turn, but I guess it's also a level 6. It's one of
I
those
think
weird
like
ones. Like it could probably like the Jellymon, for example, could just evade the first Anubis delete, but then just dies to the second one once they play out 7 bodies. So I think it's way too slow to deal with that. The redirect on promo Amphi is, or like the battle ender is probably not going to be super useful when you've got 4 attacks going. So I think into Anubis it struggles. Into Melga, I think it probably has hands, right?
I think this deck is like the one of the most like 128 decks like we have access. So I think the deck is like super strong with the ability to play like the Bukemon egg for one last format, and also having like some of the best removal. It also means that you can flex into, I mean, we can talk about this now, like Dianamon being like a generic blue card that like just supports all kinds of source strip, also like adds a lot of like makes the deck a little bit more robust, because like before, if you didn't see specifically the Amphi, it felt like really bad. And like now you have like Diana as like a second option. The card's like kind of good.
Yeah, like
So
you were on, like a lot of people were switching over to Kuzuha
mhm.
as the second one because she was like a decent generic level 6, but I think, yeah, like you said, like Diana, we'll probably just put Diana wherever like the highest
Oh,
blue good stuff goes.
mhm.
But like,
I
yeah,
think Amphi can 128. I think it's like a decent control. Like it can also push for game like relatively well. Like I've seen some people play things like a red plugin to help push for extra damage.
yeah,
It's blue, so it has access to like all of blue's best like forms of removal. The tamers are pretty unfair.
Buka's
Um,
still at 4 as well for EX5, so you are swinging with jamming every time.
mhm. I can see it.
Yeah, especially I think maybe Amphi's your second stack. Like I think maybe you do the first stack with Diana to just like have the
Hold down the fort.
the frequent source strip, and then after that the Amphi is just drowning something every single turn.
Can
Yeah,
see it.
it's a cool concept. Vaccines.
Um, Vaccine's weird. Have you played much vaccine?
I haven't played much, but I genuinely think that the deck is very solid. Like I've watched, like I haven't played it, but I've been watching people
Mhm.
move the cards around. And I think Vaccine is like an easy top 32.
I think in a world where like I think vaccine is very good against like single stack decks. I think the deck struggles a little bit against Y decks. It it doesn't have, it has some of the best form of removal in the form of just like Angemon like punching viruses into the security and stuff,
Yeah,
but it doesn't have enough DP shrink sometimes, like because you have to run things like the Bulkmon, and like unless you have a tamer, if you then like the Rapidmon really helps. The deck can ramp pretty well, but it's still kind of like piece relied on, specifically like the Patamon. Like you'll feel the difference between the games where like you see the Patamon and you don't early
yeah.
game. Um, and so I feel like the deck needs to basically have like an almost perfect hand to keep up with some of the monsters of EX5, like Malga, for example, as well.
I could see that. I think the other thing that maybe like to see the vaccines have is just a little bit more defensive stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm. They rely too much on options.
not yeah, neither of like the top contenders of the format have like ADP, so they are at the mercy of dying to something in security randomly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Holy Wave, especially against like Anubis, would just shut down a kill turn entirely. Sure, you haven't killed anything, but you're just like, oh yeah, now everything's sec -1, and then you can maybe go from there. Well, Anubis is a vaccine. Is Merva Data? She's not virus, right?
I have no idea.
Oh, Merva's a virus, so she
Mother
gets
was a virus.
Mollywop.
But then they just like bring out another one, so it's like
Yeah, I guess. Is it delete or is it bottom deck the virus?
I think it puts into security.
Oh, okay, even better. They're just not getting that back.
Oh yeah, I guess they're not getting it back. My issue when I look at like the yellow stuff is that like specifically if you're looking at like the Panama Digimon stuff, if you're not taking into account like the new tools that yellow gets in the form of like Mitama, I think that Anjumon, if I'm trying to recall like past events in Japan during this time, and the deck was like fine. Um, it's there for the people that like have been playing this style of deck for a while. It's almost like a yellow Alphamon in a sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
Um, I'm I think like I'm not I wouldn't be surprised if I see it in top 32, but I think 128 is like safe as well. But we could probably put in top 32 if you want to have that as our
Yeah,
first like top 32.
I think there will be at least a player that has either like figured out something defensively that matchup checks a lot of Anubis. It's yellow vaccine and Pillowmon is a vaccine, so they have access to one of the floodgates that just shuts down
That is true.
Merva. And like you said, it's good against stack decks. So like as long as they are playing, if they're playing around Blackwall Grey or if they're playing around Melga, like they'll have, as long as they're able to react and like preempt it, I think they'll shut down stack decks pretty hard. So I wouldn't be surprised. Like it's the same thing with like a Setcon player always makes it criminally far into bracket, and this deck actually has a win con, unlike Setcon.
Yeah. I think like it also can play the early game extremely well. Like if it's playing against a slower matchup or a matchup that opens slow, it can punish slow starts with a Bulkmon.
Oh yeah, Bulkmon's criminal.
Yeah. So yeah, I think top 32 is like a perfect fine place to put it. Next up, the Boogeyman, the Boogie Dog.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
dog.
that's an easy. It's like what else is there to say with this deck? The deck got preemptively hit in English.
Yeah, great short. Big fan.
It's like, so the tier 1 spot that basically the can win. It's also decks that we believe will automatically like top 32. Whereas like something like Anjumon, it's more like a can top 32 deck, but it's not always guaranteed.
Yeah, I think like Anubis, since Galaxy Loop is like gone,
Effectively gone, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this deck is like at least like 50% representation. Like maybe not top 128, like maybe you'll see a little bit more variety, but it'll be like a decent portion of top 128 is Anubis players, top 64 probably like
sure.
Yeah, that's probably what you start seeing, like it start to creep towards like 50% representation. It just comes down to how good you are at the mirror. And then yeah, it's like how good you are at the mirror or versus a random ass road, the one Alphamon player that's like on a heater.
But yeah, it's just non-good deck. The deck like has tools for everything. It's incredibly good in the mirror if you're playing the cards to beat it. Like we've seen adaptations like the Black Atomon Uber and the Leviamon as well, although some people have started to cut out the Leviamon sometimes. It depends. The deck is like very flexible.
Yeah, Leviamon, or if you're first to push out, then end on a Psychmon. Like do the Merva everything, and then the Psychmon is just like the ender, so that way you're not getting cracked back on. There's like so many things they can do. Yeah, true.
Like it's a go wide deck that beats Death X, so like you'd have to play things like Crimson Blaze, like for example, like options is kind of what the deck is weak to. So I think like that's the niche that red decks are gonna have going into Nats format, is that red decks are able to play Crimson Blaze and sort of like give themselves a fighting chance.
Yeah. It's exciting for sure to see like how this especially will play out, because damn, they really took my bottom tier dog and just made him undeniably Bidif. Admittedly, I'd say that like he's not the main part of it, but like there's a reason that it's getting hit and not Merva.
Yeah, that is true.
Instead, something that's getting support soon. Soon. Give us Magna. It's not even March, it's like give me April, June.
April, yeah.
We are so back. But right now, I don't know, almost like
yeah, it's a side event deck, I think.
Yeah. That is like the two flavors of it are really, really interesting. The control, like what Saf is building, where you just kind of shoot D Brigade players with Heaven's Judgment over and over again. Pretty rad. Big fan. Fire Rocket. Yeah, you can outspeed some stuff. Like I wouldn't be surprised if like someone was just like on it till 128 and they just dodged like bad matchups. But like, yeah, no, it's like side event for EX5.
It's also like the deck's game plans, like your core cards are not very flexible. Like you have to basically run a lot of non-engine to kind of like differentiate like your style of deck.
The other problem as well is Magna can obviously just be a complete nuisance when it comes to
Certain matchups, but
redirects, like just slowing stuff down. But like versus if everything has retaliation, sure you have your infinite redirects, but if you're purging on the first redirect, like Lamau, you had
technically
2
heal
blocks.
one.
Yeah, sure.
It's fine. Hunters, this deck, it's the fuck. This deck is dead. One of the decks of all time. This is probably my kryptonite, only because like I play Bloom, and even though the deck is getting like support in the form of Prison Garrett, I think this solidifies itself as like the 50th like Hunter card, because if you notice like Hunter decks, they always like have one or two cards difference, and I think
Yeah.
this is just kind of like takes away the that sort of like deck building puzzle from the deck. Like I think if you look at Hunters, there's probably a correct 50 card list now with the inclusion of Prism Garrett. The card just does a decent amount of stuff. Like you can play without meeting the color requirement. It gets back resources, and also like buffing DP kind of matters, because like Arrestor being 10k base unless you have jamming sometimes like kind of sucks.
Yeah, like there's like 10k is usually pretty good. It basically means you're only dying to sixes, but like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
the good decks right now, like Melga is pretty top heavy on sixes. Anubis is top heavy on sixes. So like yeah, you need Clockmon or you need this. I personally still like overflowing power. The fact that overflowing costs 0 is nice and allows you to be a little bit more degenerate with where you put your cards. But like Prism, I think, is the obvious safe answer if you're not just trying to high roll people.
Mm-hmm. It does like a few things that the deck kind of likes, but I don't think this is a card that's going to push the deck over. I think it's just I would not be surprised if Hunters, like we saw in EU Nats, the deck still managed to get a top 32
It was top
or
16,
16.
wasn't it? Yeah, like that's the thing. Like
16 or even
Hunters,
8.
yeah, like The thing about Hunters is they don't get anything new, but they don't need anything new. Like there will always be the 3 Hunters players that are just like they clock into work, they show up, they put something under something else and leave it there for the rest of the game, and they go collect their like top 64 prizing every time. There's
It's a
always 3 of them.
it's a very very ignorant deck. Like it doesn't really like play to matchups. It just does its thing.
Yeah,
And
like if it doesn't hit the Alphamon player in the room, it's like nice complex game plan. Anyways, I put your
but
Anubis under your rookie.
it also it's like flexible enough. I think it's definitely a deck that can like top 32.
Like I'd actually be
I
surprised if it didn't top 32. It might just be that like the Hunters players maybe shift to Anubis because it's so
mhm.
overtuned, but like the Hunters players just show up.
Yeah, just sure. Yeah, it's definitely a deck that like guarantee. It's like it can top 32. Just depends on the day if people like want to bring it. Like if let's say you're the best player in the world, why would you ever play Anubis over Hunters, right?
Yeah.
It's just one of those. Bagra.
Side event.
Side
That is
events.
a side event card where people have barely read their own cards, let alone yours. I think honestly, Bagra genuinely like right
It's
now,
getting there.
it's doing stuff. Like the deck is in a decent place right now. It's definitely a you can win your locals type of deck,
Hmm.
easy. Um, and like maybe even like yeah, a side event like a large, not quite a local, like that kind of thing. You could definitely like top with it, but as soon as you're playing into like a million Mervas, unless you're on like 4 of the Troopmon to scam them for 2 memory, like you're dying, like you're just dead.
I think it's also a deck that's like I think it's insanely fun to build, but then like to play, it's still pretty fun. But I think it's like it's more fun to build. Like you have so many things that you can do, and you have like and like you have cards that like have so many different roles but then at the same time, sometimes the deck is like, oh, no you,
Yeah,
no
like
W.
genuinely, the deck is so good, providing you find a U in the first 3 turns or first check of security. Like, the deck is unbelievably strong, but you just have those days where it's just like he's on holiday, he didn't get off the school bus, went to the wrong stop. It's just like
Bro
happens.
called in sick to play like the new video game
Give
that
me
just came out.
promo you Amano and Nene Amano. As long as it lets
Mhm.
me free play something, I don't care. Just gimme. I'm tired of having only 4 of these cards.
Speaking of someone that like never misses work, Beelzemon. I
Yeah.
think uh it's definitely can top 32. I think
Yeah,
NA
easy.
especially has a lot of dedicated like Beelzemon players. It has incredibly strong security. I think the deck with the trainings is like super disgusting because you can run a very minimal amount of like levels. Like you can I've seen lists that just play like 4 Wizardmon, 4 Wizardmon X, and that's just at level fours. They just the purple trainings make a huge like difference for the deck, and it's solid. Like
Yeah, it's a pretty nice stack deck. Like, it's a lot more simple than it used to be because you're not really high rolling people as much anymore. You're building your like 8
oh
mil
yeah, it's more
stack and you're just
calculated.
you're just going at it. And then after that, then you can kind of start playing that like traditional Beelzemon, like, ooh, what's gonna happen type of thing. But like the first step, like the first 2 turns, 3 turns are like very, very standard now.
It's also like very flexible. Like I've seen people play the BT10 Beelzemon and finding success with the card for going wide metas because of things like Anubis, Fenrir, etc. Like the card genuinely like can come up, being able to float off of it on your opponent's turn, like pretty
Yeah,
solid.
it also doesn't mill as many cards. Having an on play as well makes it like actually useful as opposed to just
Mm-hmm.
having the when digi.
The
And
on play is huge.
the inherits,
Yeah,
insane. Like that inherit was designed for before we had a good blast mode, and now we have X antibody and a good blast mode. It's just like that card puts in
it just
work.
does a lot.
Belphemon does a lot, but it's missing a lot now.
It does a lot in the side events. Uh,
Genuinely though, I think like
no, I think I'm underselling the deck.
if
Um,
if you're on Anubis as like your like patch or like obviously you don't have all the scatter modes now to just like set up insane trash, but
but
you
you know
could
what you do have?
still what the dog?
Garurumon
Yeah, Guru
and
engine,
Gabumon.
Guru engine, and
It,
then
it sure says draw 2, discard 2, and gain a memory.
I think you cut the Gizmon or like you
Mm,
trim the Gizmon, you run Guru bot end.
yeah, but you'd
And
have to run the purple ones, which there's less good ones of, but there's still a
yeah,
decent amount.
but then you use Anubis to just drop the cost of sleep mode.
There's
Like I don't think you do the like Gizmon climb Karata thing. I think you're probably more likely to have like a Karata or something to just put under your Belphemons, but you're
Mhm.
probably Guru stack Anubis pitch, play your Belphemon sleep loads rage, and then you start just like abusing that.
I think the Belphemon, it's more of an engine now. If anything, like it fits nicely into like other decks. Like I think right now, if you look at like Leviamon, I think Belphemon and Leviamon can kind of work well together. You can like put levies in trash off of the Belphemon. You have Rostrum to like out things that like normally could potentially like outspeed you. You have the Guru engine to kind of like filter. I joking like I hate this deck again because I'm a Bloom player. Okay, when I say hate this deck, I don't hate like the deck. It's a bad matchup for me. So it's like it's a deck that like
It's
I don't
okay.
like to
I hate
play
the deck.
against. Um,
I just straight up hate it.
but I think genuinely this deck can top 128. The question is if the people that would normally play Balfamon think the deck is good enough to top 128, or are they just gonna pivot to Anubis? That's pretty much every purple deck. It's purple decks I've played by purple one tricks. I also do the same thing. I've only played purple. I only like purple, and they all generally pivot towards the best purple deck unless
Yeah,
there's some
but
kind of like one
also
trick.
the Belphemon players, like, yeah, sure, sleep mode's cute and all, but like the Belphemon players are not playing Belphemon with like, damn, I love Belphemon. Like the
Yeah, that
Beelzemon
is true.
players are here because Beelzemon is that guy. But
Yeah, that
like,
is true.
I don't know, Belphemon's a bozo.
That's fair.
Like I said, like if you're using Belphemon in this, I don't think you're on the standard Belphemon thing. I think you're on just like something that vaguely resembles any other deck, and then Belphemon pops up.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Levia-esque tech. Like, yeah, maybe top 128, but like there will be one. It'll be that
I think
one guy.
there might be one guy. Um, Blackwood Greymon. I think this deck. Let me think. It's guaranteed top 32. I think as a Greymon player, I think Blackwood Greymon is better positioned than War Greymon.
Do you think that Black War Grey with like a fully defensive package like the Black Agu X antibody, protoform, that kind of shit could just sit
Um,
there and just stay alive?
it's weird. I think the deck happens to have like a decent matchup into Anubis. You have like a like you have good cards and like Black or Greymon when somebody is like locked in on the deck, like they have the 50, because it's a Greymon deck, like you have infinite possibilities on what you want to run. If you build the deck correctly for the day, you guarantee top. Can you win? Then it basically becomes like how well do you know your Anubis matchup? And do you draw your outs in time?
Genuinely,
Proto
I
form,
think that's just the Black War Grey special though. Like, look at last Nationals. It was won by a Black War Grey player that was like making obvious mistakes on the day one stream, and even
mhm,
day two was not clean. Like he
but
got
the deck.
some, yeah, he just like the deck doesn't brick as often as like Anubis can just like shit the bed. Like some of the
Mhm.
like high roll decks can just shit the bed. The Greymon stuff, like yes, it's partially a red deck, and you sometimes just yeah red deck lol. But like it
So
feels
every
like you can play out of a terrible situation way more, especially with ace cards now. Like
yeah.
you probably shouldn't be on red metal gray ace, but like drop it for 4 and it makes it back to you. Black or gray turn 2.
It's also you have like layered protection, like you have the BT9 support as well as the BT11 support that give you like different forms of protection. So like it's not the deck also like Protoform helps you get into Black or Greymon a little bit quicker because you just load and immediately evolve. And you're passing a bit less. The deck can make use of trainings in some capacity. You have like enough defensive tools. I think Black or Greymon always struggles to kill a little bit,
Mm,
and sometimes it allows decks to like get back into the game where, you know, if they don't have the second stack ready, then it's a bit troublesome. But the deck that has a decent amount of ramp and most importantly has high roll in its own archetype. Like if you see the one of Virus Greymon, it's like
yeah,
doesn't really matter what you're playing against.
you find the one of, and protoform gives you. The thing is, now protoform also lets you just find other pieces. Like your one of virus Greymon could be a
You just
multiple of.
recycle it. Yeah, yeah.
I think,
So
especially because it's like Black Hole Gray very rarely was actually using the attack timing warp.
nah.
Like, I guess
Yeah,
if they were trying to get like their unsuspend, but you could also just do that then Hades Force. So
yeah, exactly. So I think, and also like that, right? The deck also has the ability to play Hades Force, which is still like card of all time. So I think this deck can definitely win, but we're putting it in the toppest tier mostly for its guaranteed top. I think the deck will guarantee top, but win it just depends on the day and the pilot.
yeah,
Bloom Lord.
it always can. I don't
It
know. I feel
always
like Bloom is
it's well positioned.
it's well positioned, but I feel like I never see Bloom players doing as much in NA. Like whenever I'm looking at event results, like they don't have as many like super high tops as like Europe does, but
Europe and Latin America, we love Bloom. I think like NA loves blue decks and like other stuff primarily. Um I think the deck has a niche in the fact that like it has a pretty good Anubis matchup because of the Floodgate Pomamon.
yeah.
Like it puts the Anubis player on like show me. The deck can play different speeds. The deck has lots of different ways that it can be built. You can play sort of like a faster version of the deck where you play things like you play the red veggie again to just like get those one cost evos. When I was looking back on my run and I was like, oh, what things would I have changed about my deck? And ironically, the red veggie lets you play at a disgusting like speed because you slow down the amount of actions that the opponent can do when you go first, which is like Bloom struggles a little bit when it goes first because it doesn't want to pass to memory like turn one. Like I hate doing that. So the red veggie being able to pass one meant that like we could then slow the game by a turn or two to then like let me do my thing and win from it. Whereas like when I was playing the deck of Euros, I was with the Togemons and stuff, like the 2-cost Evo sets the deck back a little bit. And I think that if you wanted to take Bloom, going back to that route where you play like the red veggies, you play boost as well, because the memory boosts are much bigger punishes for the opponent to swing into security. And there's not that many decks that would want to play Floodgate rookies, because if you're looking at memory Floodgate rookies, like green has terriermon, and then blue decks probably don't have enough space for Madoki. No, they might actually run Madoki because Anubis can gain a lot of memory from its inherits.
Yes. It's what, like, obviously the reducing the cost is stupid, but like gaining the memory back is what kind of allows you to
Mm-hmm.
play super low to the ground.
So
I think Blue Flare especially is going to be on Floodgates at the ass.
sure, I think Bloom. I'm gonna put it in can top 32.
Yeah, I
I,
could
I
say that.
I would not be surprised. The deck has stood the test of time. It's like Green's premier deck. If you're a Green player, you're on Bloom, and I think the deck is genuinely very very strong. In the EX5 meta, able to keep up. It's just it needs to be built for the day.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the better chance top 32. Like Beelzemon and Bloom would be like,
Oh, they're like almost parallels.
yeah, whereas the hunters, it really depends on the hunters players that show up. Like if the good hunters players show up, they're gonna clock in for their shift and get top 32. But it's whether they're still on hunters. And then vaccine, I think, is like, oh, there's one person, maybe two in top
Mm-hmm.
32. Whereas you might actually get like a handful of Bloom.
Yeah, I think it's well positioned for the format. Considering like when we look at then the other EX5 decks, Bloom has decent matchups into them. It's fine. It's a decent deck. Blue Flare.
Blue Flare. I
I don't
mean,
know, man. Can
it's a
people stop
good
playing Blue
deck.
Flare?
It's a good deck. Yeah, I don't
I'm
like
so
it.
okay. It's very hypocritical that I'm saying the same thing about like a deck that also came out the same set as me, like as Bloom. But like, oh my god, dude, like it's so the deck, the deck's like core weaknesses are so bad that people have to put red cards in the deck to like get results. And at that point, like, are you playing Blue Flare or are you just playing like unsuspend deck with an extra check? But it gets to cheat, and it has like one of the best cards in the game in the form of Blazing. So like that card is like absolutely disgusting. If you find your Blazing turn one, like inshallah, brother, like you wanted it more. But a lot of the times the deck feels lacking. Now with Dianamon, I can definitely see the deck like doing well, especially because like Anubis placed the board, like so automatically Blue Flare's like wooga, two bodies, big bombo.
Yeah, also I don't think you really need to run Decker anymore. Like
No.
Cyber Launcher gets rid of like floodgates that being pesky.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is, like, it's a Digicross deck, so inherently if people are on the floodgate, like if you're doing the stop play by effects, then Blue Flare is fine. If you're incredibly woke instead and can't reduce by play costs, because realistically that's the main hurdle for Anubis,
Mm-hmm.
then Blue Flare kind of catches a stray in that because it is obviously reducing its play cost to do its own general mechanics. I think it really depends on what floodgates people are on. If they're on the wrong floodgate, this deck will top 64 easy.
I
Is
agree.
just whether it,
I'm so
like,
sick of it.
yeah. I mean, it'll probably sneak into top 32.
He'll probably have it. I think it's a guaranteed 128 deck for sure.
Yeah, like it's like top of
Oh,
128
for sure,
easy.
top of 128. It just the deck won't top because of like your Blazing Memory Boost like will whiff on a Tamer, or like the people that are like X2, like couple last rounds, the people that will end up like X3, it'll just because they'll have like an unlucky game because sometimes the deck just like does not find the things that it needs to,
Yeah, is it
and the
day
deck.
two? What, 128 again this
Um,
year?
I'm not sure. For us, it was 32. For them, might be 128. But either way, like
Yeah, like if it's day 2 top 128, it might be that people see like results from day 1 and go, oh, there's blue flare player still knocking around. This is, I'm not mulliganing a floodgate away. We're gonna
Yeah,
just
but
put this down.
I think the deck's run ends at 128. I don't see the deck like beating some of the like top contenders of the meta though.
Yeah, that's fair.
Machine,
Machine.
it's really good in the side events.
Yeah, I was gonna say this joint does nothing, but they got Ramon, which helps speed it up.
It's like they got rid of one, but the deck's core weaknesses are still there. Like it gets outsped. It relies on Tamer, and more decks have Tamer interaction. I think there are better control black decks in the format, which
Yeah,
we'll get to in a little bit. A certain monkey from EX5, I think, does what Machine does, but
with
you
more
know,
swag.
with more swag. I,
Uh, Batman, the D Brigade, like they're top
I
32.
don't think the deck is that good. I
You,
think the deck
I think it's just
it's
easy. Like that's the thing. Like I think in a 2-day format with at least 9 rounds, you sometimes just need an easy deck that is just gonna like, oh, I'm not seeing Brigade. It's Commandramon Rush time.
yeah, but at the same time, like the deck doesn't really have much of a ceiling. Like your plays are very like all of your power budget is I'm going to make my white board, and the deck like kind of struggles with other boards, and the deck doesn't like cheat memory in the way that like Anubis does. So like a
Yeah,
lot of times, if you're going on Brigade, you're passing turn, whereas if the Anubis player goes to Anubis, they're most likely keeping turn,
I could see
and
that.
then it's like you're gonna have to sacrifice your board to protect your stack, but Anubis doesn't really care. In fact, Anubis actively get like the matchup is so bad that I think if we're counting on Anubis being a popular deck, yeah, Brigade has protection, but the things around him don't, and Anubis just pops all the level 5s. Sure, they're not drawing cards, but they're still clearing your whole board, and eventually the Saber Dragon's gonna come out of the trash and swing into your stack, and you have no more bodies to protect yourself with. So
I guess like the Cargo Dramon inherit that when one of your D brigades gets popped, like check top 2 for something is, I
for another
guess,
one.
yeah, I think that one's gonna, it's gonna be putting in its reps because
I think D Brigade is a very, very popular deck, and I think a lot of people will be on it, but I don't think he'll convert that well.
yeah, that's fair. It's definitely an
That's,
easy can top 32 though.
oh, I think so. If it's like a dedicated D Brigade player, then yes, for sure.
Yeah, I think Anubis having such a good matchup and access to Saber Dramon means that
Yeah,
like
it skews them.
the oh man, I'm 3 wide but with no blockers, I'm just gonna drop my Brigade Dramon and see if it stalls for a turn is just simply not gonna fly.
No.
Uh
What's this? Dark Knight?
Dark Knight. They get nothing new, but they do have the Skull Knightmon promo that we have. I think if you're, well, the Digivolve's kind of nice.
Dude, Digivolve is pretty nice. Being able to float is like not
What
the worst.
what does it? It's the Digivolve and Pop a 6 cost, right?
5, I believe.
5. Okay, so you're
And
not
then
de-digivolving Anubis to do it. You're killing Merva probably if she's on Greedy Ignite, but you're not clearing the Anubis stack off of a float.
yeah, it's like Dark Knight X is like the Matryoshka is like pretty disruptive. Um, I can see it doing okay. I think it's one of those like the deck with the promo, with the Skull Knight promo being able to cheat out your nanes, the deck has a little bit of speed, and the deck also has they didn't really lose its skill power because of the sack +1. And
Yeah.
it also now gets to make use of it gets to make full use of Kiri and Nene, which is something that the deck previously didn't because none of your cards saved. Now you have a card that actually saves. So you just get to like recycle stuff and make stuff for free. In a simplified game state, the deck just outgrinds like a bunch of stuff and can pivot towards like a rookie rush style. I think it's kind of like what D Brigade wants to do, just a little bit better.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's better. The question is whether enough people have enough reps on the deck
I
or
don't think
not.
it's that. I don't think it's going to be that popular. I think
Yeah.
if we place it, we're placing it with the context of it's one guy doing it.
Yeah, like it's probably the better deck, but it'll be less represented, so it's less
Hmm.
likely to do it. Like it's
Hmm.
in the hunter category of
Hmm.
the
I agree.
specialists will specialist and nobody else is gonna like buy the Dark Knight cards to like do it on the day type of thing.
Yeah. What's this? Is this Creepy Mon?
Yeah, a mill.
Mill, basically. Mill's like Mill cooks, but it has to be like a player. It cooks in the side events really well. I'm
Yeah.
joking.
I mean, side events are
Like,
128. Like, there'll be a guy that's run ends on day 2 because he gets a bad night of sleep and
my problem
cannot.
with my problem with mill now is that like if you're milling like Anubis, you're setting them up.
Yeah, I guess the idea is that you're setting them up, but you're just kind of just also gassing them out, hopefully.
Ruin mode is still a card though.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
So,
ruin mode. Yeah, ruin mode shuts down the Merva turn.
but I don't think the deck is ever getting out the ruin mode before the Anubis goes out. That's my issue.
Yeah, because it's just what City got boosts and trainings until you could push out.
Yep.
Yeah,
But
that's fair. Side event.
I think it's a side event. Like the people that would want to play it would be on something else. It's another it suffers from the purple deck syndrome of like good players are playing the better purple deck.
Johnny hasn't been in locals the last 2 weeks, so this is
Cat in a dog meta.
his call to action. Johnny, come back to locals. We miss you. Show up on Diaboromon. Bro said, next time I'm here, I'll be on Diaboromon, then proceeded to just not show up.
Well, the Armour one is also getting Raremon for what's worth, right? That card might do something.
Does it?
I don't know. I forgot what it does. I just saw a card that was like half black and it looks generic, so I'm like,
It's treated as a cyborg on play when digivolving by trashing one card from your hand, draw 2. And when attacking by trashing one card from your hand, delete a level 3. Yeah, this joint does nothing.
okay, well, never mind. My bad. I thought the card was like it did something else. In my
Nah.
head, the card did something completely different.
Like what? Oh, it's an undead.
Yeah, it's undead. I thought it was unknown. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, this is our first
Cat deck.
casualty.
Cat deck.
What the
What does
rabbit do?
Yarbit?
Yeah,
What the cat isn't doing? That's the great question. It's the worst green deck.
side of it.
Not even side events.
Yo, cat in the dog meta. It's
Cat in the Dogman. It's so bad. It's like if the deck came out in BT8, it would have been great. It would have been a phenomenal deck in BT8.
back when we had. Wait, did we even have Canawise in BT8?
No, I think that was BT10.
Yeah, it's like what Badal Gabamon, Badal Gamamon Rush.
Yeah, it's just not
Dorbic
a
is
good deck.
Dorbic is Dorbic. Is Dorbic fast enough to keep up though? That is the question.
Uh,
Do you die before you get to put the lizard on the board?
I think you die because Anubis can play a lot of stuff. Like Dorbic, if it's going to kill you, it kills you on turn 3, right?
Yeah.
I think okay. To be fair, Derek has been playing this like Ukomon like Dorbic deck, and it just like pivots into like a red Rookie Rush deck as well.
Okay.
That was pretty annoying to play against.
Oh, I guess I could see it means you don't have to be as optimal. Like you just have to hit them and unsuspend
Yeah.
if you've had a nuke one or two out.
But I think it's like a fine deck in the side events. I don't think it does anything. I think it's slowly losing its niche.
Yeah. I don't know. It has ways of reinventing itself, but like,
I don't think this is the format for it.
yeah, Derek's also like constructed alternatively. I don't think anyone in NA is going to be like cooking with the same 3-year-old gas that he's on.
No.
I mean, it's probably what
Nothing's
about
not
machine.
expired, but he said it's good for another month.
It's like, oh no, it's best before, not used by.
What's this leopard?
Leopard, yeah.
I have a hate relationship with this deck because like the first wave of support was so promising. I was like, whoa, guys, another green go wide deck that does something else. I've always this. I don't know if people like understand what I'm saying. If Bloom is the equivalent of a red deck, Leopard is the equivalent of a blue deck in a way that it does its damage because you go like swing and suspend, swing and suspend. So it's more flexible that way. My issue with the deck is that it wants to sort of like be the generic kind of like deck where it's like, whoa, we don't have to play tribal stuff, we play the generic stuff, and you know that sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't. Um, Leopard X is a very, very good card. Like the card is so good that you probably don't play the leopard mode, or you play like one copy of the leopard mode,
Just
and
as
you
a
basically
finisher.
just yeah, you play like as a pseudo finisher. What Leopard X can do is like its removal, um, as a green deck that wants to go wide, which is very, very good because Uh, the deck can play two ways, where it's like, oh, you give me something to do, I clear. You don't give me anything to do, I kill you. The deck can be built in a few different ways. You can play sort of like the generic route where you use like the new Bastemon promo, for example. That card kind of buffs this deck. The deck can play options like Heaven's Judgment. The deck can it's the second best quartz deck for what's worth.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes sense.
it you can play the Deva engine. Even with the ruling change, the Deva engine is still like okay. It still kind of like does some of its stuff. Goes wide. One of the things the deck can do is it can play Bancho Leomon, which is a very good generic card that fits in nicely into this deck with the discount. So if you're in the threshold with the Bancho Leomon and the Leopard, you drop the Bancho for like practically nothing. I actually think it's actually free. And Bancho Leomon is like a card that by itself is like super, super strong and like keeps the Leopard like safe so you can continue like generating value. Um, Leopard X also fixes my issue with the deck had, which was before you'd play one body off of the Leopardmon, and you had to find other ways to play out more bodies. Now the Leopard X just plays out the second body for you. So on your first turn, granted you need double level 6, but you just spit out two bodies, and you clear something. Your stuff is blocker. It's good. It's genuinely a pretty good deck. The question is, are people going to play it? Um, I think the deck is guaranteed top 128. I think the the core cards are really really strong, um, and that can easily a top 128. Um, but do people want to play it?
Yeah. I just don't. It's just another one of those like, whilst Bloom is there, why would you?
Because you don't want to play Bloom.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Also, you can play other like more heinous stuff. Like, the deck also gets better with the terriermon stuff in the future. But you can play floodgates. Like you can play the terriermon, for example, and Bancholiomon. Like you have that going for you. Taiga is like pretty efficiently. Pangiamon helps a lot. The deck has its niches. It's just are the niches good enough to make you want to bring the deck over something else.
Yeah, especially in such a
Well,
long long event.
mm-hmm.
Gallant
You're taking over this one.
side event. I don't know. I just like the Gallants are always so close to getting something, but it's just like either just like the bad mojo on the day or just like it feels like it cooks certain matchups. Like it would be the reason that like a D Brigade player does not make
Mm-hmm.
like a cut.
Yeah. Bro, I went up against this Galamon player. GG, you know why.
Yeah, like it could do stuff like that. I can't remember if Tom said that the deck was fine into Anubis. Like it was fine into old Anubis.
I
But
mean,
new
Crimson
Anubis is
Blaze,
so
like,
much faster. Yeah, I mean like Crimson, you can preemptively Crimson Blaze, like you pay 6 to not die the next turn, and sometimes one extra turn is all Gallant needs. It is filling
especially
up
because.
cards in trash. I feel like Gallant Mill, like the Gallant Mill,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just straight like Millith, probably does pretty well.
There's also.
Because you're doing the mill, you're setting up Anubis, but you're also like putting them on a clock, and then you kill them by putting Crimson Blaze down, waiting a turn, and then killing them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like. I think straight Gallant. I think the game ends too quickly on the Anubis side for you to be able to be like, okay, you put cards in trash, die. Although I'd say the one thing that Gallant has over like at the start of the video, I checked Merva costs one less than Anubis, which means Oriuka can't board clear. But
Mm-hmm.
Crimson mode can board clear. Like if you don't die, it clears Anubis and Merva, and then swings Blitz. Hopefully the two idiots that got summoned off of Merva are suspended because you went for like a kill turn or whatever.
Yeah.
I think there's that's really helpful, but I don't know. It really depends. Like if this deck, especially on like the mill version, is consistent into Anubis, then forget side event. This man is like cooking into day 2.
He might cook. I
But
can see it.
Gallantmon players have this uncanny ability to be like teched for the best deck in the format and hit all the chumps.
Yep.
And like, if he's not chilling in the side event, he's chilling like here, probably deserves to be like this end of like,
Mhm.
can top 128, but it's like, can Gallantmon players beat the will of the universe?
It's one of those.
I don't know. I think conceptually, especially if you're on the mill, I think you specifically do well into Anubis. I have no idea how they do into Melga. I legitimately can't even theorize that because, like,
I mean, Malga only has battle protection, right?
yeah, so I guess it just blows up. Like, you just kill it.
It's probably fine. It depends. It's just it's still the tradings help and like Takata letting you cheat help, but like I think the deck needs an extra turn, and right now we're in a meta where you don't get that extra turn.
Yeah, and like Melga also doesn't care about Crimson Blaze. Like, I think if you need the extra turn and you can pass on a Crimson Blaze, then you're okay
Mm-hmm.
versus Anubis. But I think if the Gallantmon players are going to run into the Melga players,
Yeah, it's just
and
gonna happen,
they'll be like, ah, dude, I could have had it.
but they didn't.
All right. Speaking of had it, this man has had five whole sets of support. Monk.
Ooh, after 5 sets of support,
He can,
where do we place the monkey?
the king of the side of it. I mean,
No, 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 no. I think the deck is legit. I think
yeah.
it's one of the better control decks in the format. Um, it can play at different speeds for sure.
I think if there was someone that was going to get matchup checked, like just matchup check their way the top cut. Like we
Oh
said
yeah.
that maybe like the vaccine players would get there, but like people will be somewhat ready for what vaccine does, and it might just
Oh,
be
nobody's
that they
ready.
get floodgated. Yeah, nobody's read King
I
Ethelmon.
think the people that are like thoroughly testing EX5, like they know this deck is like legit, but it's like a legit deck that people are like, oh my god, I'm not gonna play the poop deck because it's a poop deck. But it's like,
That and people are testing their mirrors, they're testing their Melga thing. Maybe
yeah.
maybe their local Sukamon player just, shows up, goes 1-2, and then goes home. Like they don't have
So they
someone that's
don't.
just like got the vision.
I got the vision. I think this deck is a very, very good control deck. It doesn't. It's one of those like I've played the deck and I know how nuts the cards feel. The deck sometimes lacks a little bit of power, but you have a lot of good security, and you can also heal, and you have redirect, and you have protection.
The
So
only
the deck is
thing I don't like the idea of is Saberdramon. I think makes this matchup way more doable.
yeah, but
Because unless you're on a super wide board anyway, your Anubis is playing a Merva who then plays 2 more bodies, which clears 3 level 5 or lowers.
yeah,
So
that's
that's
pretty
all
rough.
protection. And then if you it can redirect into security, can't it? Like you can choose it
Yeah.
or okay, that's fine then, because I guess you would use what is it? Is it EX5 Etamon that lets you play the body for free?
No, BT 14 Etamon, I think. The old yellow one, I think, is BT 14.
No, the yellow black one, the one that
Oh, the one that that's the EX5 one. Yeah, the one that like checks the top cards of your deck.
yeah, like that can
Yeah.
float into a thing of protection that if Sabredramon's trying to raid at you, also you can just tell it to fuck off into security
You
and
also have
put a Sukamon there for protection.
Platinum Sukamon to de-digivolve, like Marva, for example.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And Anubismon's delete is mandatory if there's a valid target.
Yeah,
So
there's like a lot of things that deck can do. I just don't think people have tested the deck enough to like want to bring it to an event for a set that's like very much like a capsule in time, and then these cards are gonna get hit anyway. Like
yeah,
I think people are just gonna like ride the high of like I'm gonna play full power Anubis. In their mind, they already have their top, and then like there's gonna be somebody that like humbles them with Etamon, but
yeah, the Etamon player has to like hit a standard matchup rounds 1 and 2. Like if they
yeah,
also play into some other like
into
moron,
some rogue deck.
like yeah, then they are not killing the hopes and dreams of several wannabe Anubis players. But
Hmm.
I think there's a very real yeah, I think this deck could just matchup check its way into like late day 2.
It also can like it can play Pillowmon, which hurts itself as well, but like it's a deck that can play the Pillowmon, so like the
Yeah, and
deck
worst case, you
can
just
take
start
Proactive
your turn
Blaze.
and just run it into security.
Yeah, or Evo over it. You have ways out of it.
Yeah, because the Sukamons all, I'm pretty sure they cost 2 anyway. Like, I don't think they cost 3 and then 2 over thing.
Hmm,
If they do, then yeah, the Pillamon's a bit rough. But then you just run
right.
the Pillamon into security and play a Sukamon. Like, it's whatever.
Sure. Let's talk about one of the dogs of the format.
The deck that didn't.
Um, yeah, I think the deck just had a bit of a ceiling that people weren't like super prepared for. It also like there was a lot of mirage, which this
Yeah.
deck doesn't. You know that Anubis, sorry, not Anubis. Fenrir struggles into options sometimes.
Yeah, and until they have the red sources and can, like, easily throw in ADP, I
Sometimes they can struggle into the options for sure. Um, I think the deck will probably get a top. I think this is like one of the few purple decks that like you can play as well that are like super solid. Um, the deck converted like pretty well. I think EX5, there's a lot of exciting decks, so people might have like not
New Toy
continued.
Syndrome.
Yeah, like New Toy Syndrome, so people could have like forgotten how good Fenrir is. Fenrir can also play out of a lot of situations.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And like
Like,
it's kind of hurt by the floodgates that people are running to shut down Anubis, but
mhm. It also um it doesn't like cheat things out. So like it doesn't really care about Psychmon, for example, while being able to run the Psychmon.
yes.
And the deck has a really good Greymon matchup.
Fair.
And the deck, like if it's left unchecked, like if it's not playing against a tempo deck that like wants to go before the Fenrir deck, if the Fenrir deck goes out, it's probably because they have OTK.
Yeah, or they're like cycling back for
Hmm.
a Fenrir, a Helluga.
I think the deck, like we can put it in Ken top 32, but I think it's better than Beelzemon.
Yes, I think it's a one of those like kind of like bills where it's a specialist one.
Like I think there are more people willing to play Fenrir than there are people wanting to play Beelzemon.
Yeah,
But I think Fenrir is like top of the Ken top 32.
yeah. Like if
What's
if it did like win an event, it would probably be like, oh yeah, I hit some insane bracket luck as well as
Yeah,
my deck didn't just like stop functioning halfway through the day
sometimes
as it seems
yeah,
to just
sometimes it
do.
does that.
Uh,
Let's
Fanglong, I think genuinely is an easy can 32.
oh, easy top 32. This deck is crazy good. The only thing that like sucks about this deck is that like people might get price gapped out of it, especially so close to the event. Because the set drops this weekend.
I
Well,
don't know. This might
today.
be the deck that if you were looking to try and take it and you've been practicing it, you might have bought pre-sales.
Oh, you might have bought pre-sales. Yeah, the deck needs like 4 secret rares, and then like you want the super rares, and then
I think the aces have been pretty high drop rate. Like I've just been looking at people that like have got their boxes early and they're cracking packs, and it's just like, yeah, like I got three. Like you get like one of each Deva or like multiple of
okay,
another. So I think
that's fine.
like as long as you're buying 2 boxes
You
or you
should get
bought
like most.
pre-sales, you should have everything. Like you're probably not going to be want to be trading on the day to
Hmm.
go get what's left unless you're blinging shit out, in which case that's between you and your bank account. But I think I'd say the major like the aces and Fanglong are obviously the main sticking point. The rest of the Davas are all dime a dozen. You probably already have your Mother D's or whatever.
Like your Jedi's, maybe analog
Yeah.
use.
Like, yeah, if you've done your prep and you've got your analog use, if you've got the stuff that's not EX5, you will be tripping over yourself for all the Davas, and then it's just whether you can get your Sovereigns and Fanglong.
I think, uh, you know, affordability aside, and like how easy it's going to be for people to get the cards. I think genuinely this deck is like super good. I think it's a deck that plays on a different axis. This plays into that like Mega Zoo playstyle aspect that a lot of people love. Um, the deck is like insanely good.
Eberron is a
It,
card. It
hmm?
is Eberronmon is the card of all time.
And even like Fanglong himself is like once that card like sticks on the board, it's like super difficult to deal with because it's just full clearing everything.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of
The
like who can actually
the only issue the deck has is like being able to find multiple copies of it. And I think is it unaffected by Digimon or is it unaffected by
Digimon. So like the
Digimon?
only
Options.
yeah, like options are getting rid of it, but like who's getting rid of Fanglong? Like if you're on if you're on Blackwall Grey, you've been shrunk unless you've gone exactly into the metal gray X antibody that people aren't using. Like, if you're going into that and you're dodging shrink for a turn, like, cool. But besides that, like, Hades Force is going to be forcing the combat, and that's it. Belphamon probably, yeah, you know, Gift of Darkness. Wait, no. Does Gift kill 6 and above?
6 and above, yeah.
Oh, yeah, so, like, Gift is doing something. And that's, like, it, right? Like, nobody else is on option cards that are killing something. It's got...
Heaven's Judgment, I suppose.
I guess Heaven's Judgment, yeah, but the decks in the format that are on Heavens
Yeah.
are bang long, probably.
I think Deva is like a really solid deck. It can play some funky engines, and it has that like suppress factor where like each Deva that's on the field will convert into an ace. It's just which ace are you willing to play around? Like the deck feels like a hand trap deck, like in Yu-Gi-Oh, where like
Yeah.
your hand is your defense, and eventually, like if your win con drops down, it's super hard to get back into the game.
Yeah,
And
I
the
think
deck
that's why you're on a lot of draw engine Davas more than anything else.
yeah, it's just a solid deck. Like I think it's a genuinely solid deck. I think the deck can easily top 32. I don't know if it has the potential to win the event, but a deck that can easy top 32.
Yeah, like no question about that. I'd probably stick it around the bloom.
Yeah.
Like it might be like new toy syndrome. Like there's all the Dava players
Oh,
have
yeah.
been like grinding that deck for a while. So
Oh,
like
yeah. These people are going to buy the deck, and they're only playing the deck until like they can no longer play the deck.
yeah,
This is
so
like what the Anubis play. Not the Anubis. This is what the Apoclymon players are going to go back to playing. What is
is
that? Grey Knight spot? No, that deck is. Why is it even on the list?
Bozo.
Bozo. We don't need to talk about it.
Jesmon GX, top 128, I think.
I think so.
It's a consistent deck. Like it's still putting. It was like still putting in work in BT14.
Consistent when like it consistently like does its game plan, but does it consistently see its pieces?
So the other thing that I dislike, like we all cranium on haters, but genuinely there's so many like Digimon based removal in the game right now that Craniumon actually does something.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Like so, like they can actually stick around on the defensive board and like
try to stick around.
yeah, especially if you've turned every single system on for like they're the only deck that goes band for band with Anubis on just shitting bodies out.
Mm-hmm. I think it's like a fine deck. I can probably top 128. There's people, the people that have a maxed out Jesmon deck will keep playing it. The deck lacks flexibility sometimes because like so much of your like cards are designed to do the combo more than they're designed to like play for certain states.
Yeah, I think this is the deck of all the like top 128, like good contender top 128 decks. I think this is the deck that would just have its run end immediately day 2 because like it just didn't shuffle well on the first games of the day, and then they just don't get a game 3.
Yep. Jumbo whatever, that deck is another poo-poo deck.
That is a funny side event. You will get
Uh,
several draws and nothing else.
What is this? Leomon?
Heavy Leomon. Like, this is actually
I think Leomon,
side event.
the deck has gotten results in Japan. And I don't think the deck is bad. I think the deck can play like a mid-range deck. Like you have Heaven's Judgment and Flashy Boss Punch as like your options that like you want to have in security. The deck has security manipulation with the Leomon. The deck is pretty aggressive and like it immediately starts applying pressure. And because we're in a format where like the best forms of removal or deletion, all of your indomitable stuff gets like value, and being able to like de-digivolve things and then shrink them and then like still have a body out is like really, really strong, I think.
Yeah, and you do have bottom decking, which against some decks, like the purple ones, is incredibly detrimental.
You have Unsuspend. This deck does a little bit of everything. It's like Jack of all trades, master of none. But it still has that like core strength of being like an aggressive deck with floating.
I think it's one of those decks that needs another wave of support. Like the rest of the Indomitable stuff, I think just like when we see like
Mad
another...
Leomon, Sorry, go ahead.
Does Mad Leomon do something in the Leomon engine? Because
Yeah, the new Mad Leomon that's coming out in the next, I think it's BT16 or something. That card helps out a lot. But this deck was even seeing results in BT15 in an Apoclymon like format.
oh
The deck
really?
was doing okay. So it's like It's fine. I think it's a fine deck. I would put it uh like next to like Leopardmon. I think they're like alternatives for green
I
players.
guess it also can actually use the Leopardmon engine. Like you
Yeah,
could, like if you went Leopardmon first, you could just start putting level 5s down and like trying to just evolve a bunch of like heavy
yeah,
Leomons and cycle
it's
them.
fine. But it's like Heavy Lemon's decent. Bancho Leomon is decent. You get to play like 6 to 7 options in forms of like removal for your security. You have Mimi. You have trainings boosts. It just does. It's a fine deck. You have the Digivolve and shrinking in green, which is good enough.
Yeah.
Leviamon, I don't think this deck is real until it gets like the BT15 stuff. I think it's more of an engine.
Yeah. Like maybe there'll be someone doing something in a side event. Like day 2, if you bubbled, the bad Anubis players are just gonna get chomped up by. Do we even know what side event? Like, I don't even know if the side events at
We're just
nationals.
saying side events, but
Yeah, like, I just
it's
it can
fine.
win your locals.
Without its, I think it's good enough for side events. To be fair,
Yeah, like
like this is
it
a
can win your locals. It's not,
with the Guru engine and like some other like bits and pieces. Like you can do like a Demon Lord box with like Lilithmon.
but besides that, I don't really
It's
know
an
what you're
okay
doing.
strategy.
Yeah, like most of the times I see it talked about in EX5 is like you're using it to save your locals from the Anubis players, and that's all you are
Yeah.
there to do.
Yep.
Maste,
Uh, Astamon.
yep, Mastemon,
It's I don't know.
side event.
Side events, I guess.
It can win your locals.
They can win your locals for sure.
It can absolutely win your
Maybe get a
locals.
top 4 in a Star Champ.
Yeah, Pillowmon goes crazy for you on a random
hmm
Saturday.
It's a fine deck. I don't think it's better than like anything else.
It's better than Leviathan.
There are people that will always be playing it, but like the deck just sometimes loses to itself.
Yeah, like it's not as consistent as the rest of like Yellow Vaccine, which is why it's so far away. Even though Maste with like the Yellow Vaccine, Patamon stuff, like is
hmm
genuinely an upgrade for the deck. It's one of those. It's another one of those like it's Yellow Vaccine. If Yellow Vaccine's lose condition was they couldn't find a way to play their 5 cost tamer because it didn't pop out of security.
hmm
Which yeah.
Yeah. Marukimon. Oh boy, don't even get me started. They had the chance to make something really special,
And then they put Marukimon in it.
and then they just wasted good art and garbage effects, and they didn't even support it properly. And I'm just really sad. So we'll move on.
Uh, I feel
I guess
like we
this is
know
like
that this is Crossheart, right?
yeah, we're just calling this cross art. 128.
Yeah,
It's
it's good.
cross art. Like
It's where Blue Flare is.
yeah, it's fine.
You fall to the
Melga.
same floodgates that fold Blue
Mm-hmm.
Flare, and if you dodge them, you dodge
You
people.
win. You're fine. Oh, this is definitely a contender.
It's,
Oh, I think it's better than Black Greymon.
yes, I think
I think
yeah.
this is like number 2 for sure.
It's number 2. I think we're very quickly going to be putting Blackwell Grey at number 4.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean Melga. There's a reason that it also was immediately put in the crosshairs
And it's
twice.
also like it's there's so many different ways to build a deck. I think genuinely people might give Billstarmon its like last hurrah
I think that'd be pretty
until like
sick.
like the Guru Billstar deck is like really really good. It plays like a bunch of like strong options. It has a decent like early game. It can also just play regular Garurumon and like double Ice Wall with a fridge gun guy. Um, you have like the best engine in the game.
Yeah, like you have done irreparable damage to blue and purple deck building for the next couple of months.
Yep. It's Melga. It will do its thing. It'll find the one of even more now.
Its protection is very obnoxious,
Um,
and you have 8 of them.
you also the new level 5, granted at the cost of your hand, lets your level 6s restand, which is pretty strong. Um, so you know that's neat. It helps with damage mapping a lot. because like
Do we want to cover the other guru?
oh, the other Garuru.
The secret
Oh,
demon.
I don't know. I think that's a side events deck. That deck is nice,
Yeah, that guy.
but that's a deck that you take specifically to the side events to just terrorize everyone.
Yeah, genuinely though, I think if there was someone that was just like, like all the rookie rush players that played in the Ultimate Cup, they're like, yo,
Hmm.
nice complex game plan, idiot. Anyways,
Anyway,
I hope you don't have like this is the
this
bro.
is
I
that
hope
deck.
you don't have terriermon.
This is like the high rolliest of decks, but like god damn, like once you start cooking, it's like it's nice.
Yeah, like genuinely, like okay, all the decks in top 128. How many of them are on memory blockers?
Blue Flare, maybe.
And
Uh
even then, I feel like Blue Flare is
Purple
probably
decks
on
with
Siako,
Gazimon.
right?
Maybe both. Purple decks can play Gazi. Blue Lord can play Terriermon. I've seen it's not uncommon.
Yeah, the thing is with
It's all the
Galaxy
decks
Loop
that can
removed,
play it, but I don't think
yeah,
they will.
that's the thing. Like with Galaxy Loop gone, and you don't need like a memory blocker. I think like Anubis is back on Psychmon if they're on any floodgates. You're probably on Siakomon if you're on Blue Flare. Pomu is probably like green is on Pomu. I think there's a very real opportunity where
You
Bobby
just
Big
actually
Dick
maul.
just walks into this like I will not see Gazimon or Terriermon. And he just cooks. Like they get cooked game one. They're like, can I read that card by the way?
Yeah.
After it restands for the third time, like,
Hmm.
are you dead ass? Like,
So for
there's a
those that don't know what we're talking about, this is the BT1 Wergarumon OTK deck. Uh, the way this the way this deck works is you basically run the BT1 Wergarumon, of course, which the card reads not once per turn when attacking, gain 3 memory, and then at the end of the turn you lose 3 memory. Now, what you do is that you play the most efficient options to restand the card. So, the All Force option that costs 3. You play Avalon's Gate, and you play like Wave of Reliability. So you basically deck build for uh options to let you restand that Digimon, and then you just swing, and then you gain 3 memory, and then you spend the 3 memory to pay the option, which will either go positive or even unsuspend, and you keep doing that for every option you have in your hand. That's 1 damage,
and with
and
promo Garurumon, you're drawing every single time as well. So very
yep,
often, especially with like the draw and filter of Garurumon X, you are just simply just like you push out with a Gabumon, build the line, and just kill. Hope that
you just
something
kill them.
freak doesn't kill you in security because you have jamming. You're on Bukamon. It's just like, do you run? I guess that's the other thing. Like this probably loses to Yellow Vaccine. It loses to Sukamon. Hmm, does it lose to Sukamon?
Oh, I think it was the Sukamon.
Yeah, but as long as like you have, I guess jamming's only with security Digimon.
Yeah, like
Okay, yeah. So it loses to Edamon.
it's like the deck has bad matchups for sure, but for every bad matchup it has, it also has like 3 wonderful matchups of like people that just like don't know what the fuck is up, and you just Greymon player. That's really cool, buddy. You're dead.
Yeah, I think that like if someone was just like, oh, I've already got my Nats ticket. I'm kind of mad about like not getting my float to top 32. I'm just trolling the event, and they
You
rock
play
up with
this.
that mindset. That guy's getting like top 16. He's just gonna have the best weekend of his life
That deck is like the funniest deck. It's a solid deck. We're putting inside events because I don't think
because
anybody will
it's
genuinely
where it
bring this over.
belongs. It's where it belongs.
Yeah, yeah. It's peak. It's so good for locals too.
Oh yeah, that's a you're ruining locals.
Hmm.
Uh,
Next deck, Mirage.
I think this is actually like the other top three in
You
NA
think
for sure.
the other what? Sorry.
I think this is the other like top four deck specifically because it's NA. They really like
Uh,
Mirage over there.
yeah. I don't think any got their like Mirage events yet. I can see this deck being like really solid. Like you have Zudo Ace, you can like bounce stuff to your opponent. The only issue is that like the deck wants to play for board, and like if it doesn't play for board, it needs to set up like some OTKs. But like versus Greymon, the deck can struggle a little bit if you don't see the Zudo Ace.
Yeah, the thing I like about like the Anubis matchup is because you're pushing up a 6, Anubis is drawing instantly. Like they do
Yeah,
their whole combo and they draw 3 cards.
and then like every card that's on the board, you're just putting them back into their hand.
Yeah. So
I can
I
see why
think the
it's really
fact that
solid.
they would have to be on boosts rather than training to get up the line.
Hmm.
Um like they would have a rough time playing into Mirage, which is why I think it's really good. Melga might be a bit difficult. Like yeah, unsuspend, goodbye. Your whole stack is gone.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it really depends on how much Melga we see versus how much Anubis.
I mean,
Um,
Melga also just discards their hand for protection, and like by other effects, they just can like shave their hand down a bit if needs be, especially with the ace.
yeah, I think so. I think it's when you see a bunch of Anubis, your Mirage players are like they should eat good. If they hit Melga, kind of rough. They hit Blackwall Gray, eh.
Mm. I think it's a fine deck.
Yeah, like maybe like you could argue probably not top 3 depending on where it is, but like we are European.
Europe, Europe incident. Too many blue dogs got left unchecked.
Yeah,
All the Greymon players were asleep.
actually, for real. I mean, yeah, it's a dog. Dog eat dog world out here.
Dog eat dog world.
5 of our top 4 decks right now are at dog.
Let's talk about Mitama, the coolest bird of all time, the
Yeah.
best show on television. This deck, like this card, is so exciting. Finally, yellow can like do something that's not like recover +1,
Or when they do,
recover +1.
they know it's disappearing.
Oh, the security is a resource. In the good words of Terrence Markham, security is just a resource. Uh,
Mitama was also the reason that I kind of wanted to have yellow vaccine as like one person up here because I feel like the last thing that like the yellow vaccine needs is just like one Mitamamon that someone doesn't read correctly.
the deck is like it has a lot of ways to be built. I think the deck is really solid. Like you also are able to play things like Venus, like you can Venus lock people like
Mm.
really really easily with Mitama, which you know Venus is still a phenomenal card. It just depends what matchups is the card good against because like um can you choose to not trigger the Anubis's uh when digivolving and instead go for the main?
Um, I think it's by trashing, right?
Because Anubis is main and digivolve.
You may trash up to 3. Yes, you could choose to not do it on Digivolve and then you just do it
Okay,
on
so you
main.
just do it main. So it like versus that, right? Like obviously the Venus doesn't stop you that much.
Yeah, because you would have to like training evolve do it because you know 4 cost is a lot of memory to be trying
Yeah,
to put over if you're not getting any of the chained effects.
that's
Um,
fine.
yeah, that's fine. Like if you have a mem setter, you're chilling.
But it's also that like Mitama is floodgating the opponent while it's like on the field. The only thing that like kind of sucks is like Saber Dramon. Like that card is just like bomb defusal bird, just like nice floodgate, boom, and it's just gonna like run straight into you.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because I was gonna say that like Mitamamon also just puts sec minus on the idiots that are just gonna run into security. Like you chip them down enough, and then suddenly your 2 Soulmon or whatever actually don't do anything security. But yeah, having access to Saber is just like go.
Yeah. But I think the deck is genuinely like really good. It can be built in a lot of different ways. It can push for damage really well between like if you play like the Anjuamon from BT1, the one that's like if you have 3 or less security when you attack, you draw a card. Sorry, not draw a card, you spit out a level 3.
Oh
Um
yeah, the when did you evolving one?
uh no, the inherit one.
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure it has a like when did you evolving sec minus instead of
Yes, exactly that
yeah.
card. You can push for a ton of damage. You also have the like KnTeLixar package of like the Kirinmon and the Repamon and stuff to like climb the way up. You have the ability to use all of the yellow vaccine support, like the Patamon, Emissary of Hope, TK. You can play Gatomon if you want to go a more like angel route. Like if you're specifically running the Anjumon, you can go like Patamon into the Gatomon and then like Evo into Anjumon for 1 and like emissary into the Mitama for another 1, basically. and you basically like you can set up plays where you're getting double level 6 out on the board like extremely quickly.
Yeah.
It's a super neat deck. I think I, I want to see this deck get at least its top 128.
Yeah.
Um, and could potentially get a top 32, but I think it's a 128 deck for sure.
It's one of those like specialist ones where like the people that have been grinding EX5 for a while might have figured out
Oh yeah.
something on Mitama,
It's
whereas
also
like it's not going to be a heavily represented like top 128
no.
deck.
It's also Mitama is a deck that like it's a fine investment because it gets better in BT15 with Gatomon and the Andrewmon Ace.
And just any yellow vaccine in general is just something that can go in that engine and put in work
But
eventually.
specifically with those two as well, like those two cards like tremendously help the deck. And you can go wide. You can also play Floodgates of your own. You can play Pillowmon as like an engine piece. So you can do your combo and then end the turn with Pillowmon and just like floodgate people out of the game.
Yeah.
Which is basically what you want to do versus Anubis. Yeah, it's a super neat deck, but I don't think it'll do better than a 128.
Proximamon.
In the Proxide events,
Yeah.
no LM cards, no Proximamon or no Gamamon.
Red Hybrid.
Uh, I was surprised how well Red Hybrid did in BT14.
Yo, that deck
I
is back, bro.
I it could have been a specific like BT14 issue of like, well, people were playing Mirage and Mirage doesn't have protection unless they play the evade one, and like
Which is a one
Yellow
of in
Vaccine.
most decks.
Yeah, Yellow Vaccine doesn't have protection. If the meta is fast and Red Hybrid is the king of swiftness, the only bad matchup is D Brigade. But like, if you win your first couple of games, you shouldn't be going up against D Brigade later into the rounds anyway.
Yeah.
And so if you do, you have the Crimson Blaze.
And you should be on multiple of them because it also helps you
Yes,
into Anubis as well.
not troll like me, where you take the deck to locals and you go, ah ha ha, I just won't play against D Brigade, and then it's Johnny Low on Ultimate Cup D Brigade, and you still lose. It happens, you know. But yeah, it's hard to say. Like,
It can top 32. It just
I
needs to
think
get
it
off to
can.
a good start. Like, it's not going
Yeah,
to be like bubbling into top 32. It is like I went 4-0 and then, you know, if shit hits the fan, I'm still Gucci. It is not fighting its way up through the trenches to claw its way in.
a couple of Ukomons also help the deck.
Yeah, that card goes crazy.
Yeah,
We don't
it's
have
just
Rookie Rush on here, but like,
I think it's the best aggro deck. Like,
it's
you
the
know,
most
OD.
consistent one as well, I'd say.
Yeah, it has a decent Malga matchup. Sometimes it depends. Like, it can have a decent Malga matchup. Greymons, it's a bit tough. It's you need like the Blitz Emperor Greymon to kind of beat the Greymons, but sometimes you just outpace them anyway.
Yeah. Are we thinking
It's a fine
under
deck.
Davis?
I'm not sure. Like, I wouldn't mind putting it like towards the like that in Hunters. I think I like the bottom of top 32.
Yeah.
And I think it's better than Hunters, along with Dark Knight. Like Dark Knight is the worst King top 32 deck here for sure.
You think?
I think so. I think all the other decks are better.
Yeah, I still like Etamon more than I like the vaccine.
Okay, yeah, this
But
is
yeah,
fine.
like
Like,
Hunters is like the cutoff for like Hunters is like where the specialists and up are, and under that is just like you went on a good run, you matchup checked
yeah.
7 people.
Pure Rosemon. This deck is pure side event material.
Yeah.
I don't need to talk about this. I mean, like, BT15 gives us like good Rosemon cards that like Rosemon can be played proactively, where you make the Rosemon X and then wowee, you suspend your opponent's thing before it even comes out, or like as it's coming out. So it's like, whoa, interesting defense, I guess. But it means
Yeah,
that the Rosemon deck can actually play, can push out first.
which is nice.
It's nice. Shine. I
It's
think this deck is like nice.
yeah. The
People
question
just
is who like it's one of it's down in specialist here because like all the people that were playing Shine because it was
I think it's
broken.
below Bloom maybe. DP minus is like really good
It is very good. Big fan. Has
because it's like
unforeseen
super.
consequences.
Yeah, it's super hard to interact with DP minus, and it beats so many like protection effects. Training's boosts still help. Like you can play like you still have everything minus like obviously the Geogreymon being gone, but that's fine. Like the deck is still fine. Um, I don't need to. I don't think we need to talk about Shine that much. It's Shine Greymon. Like
Yeah, like it will high roll you, it will brick, it will high roll you again.
Kentauros is like it's just a variation of Mitamamon. To be fair,
Yeah, so like the bottom of its the bottom of the tier below. Grace Nova is a side event then. Somewhere in there. Like I don't know, I just don't think it has enough pieces right now to
especially they took out like all of your fun. Like you can't even do the loop any. There's no loops,
where that loop
no
was
memory steals, no
okay.
infinite Tsukiyomis.
If they're on like if they're on the goop, maybe someone takes it there. Maybe.
It's a very fun deck,
Yeah, it's fun, and
but like
once
you
you've
said,
got your reps on, it's not super complicated. It's another like hunter style thing of like, a decision I made ages ago is now bitten me in the ass. It falls to D-Digivolve. It I mean, it also doesn't, it crucially doesn't have protection until you're on Grace Nova. So, like, if there's anything that's on, like, bombs, like, you go in versus Beelzemon, that Apollomon's not making it back to you. It's just not.
I think it's also just like waiting for its extra pieces of support. Like it's waiting for the Agumon and the
Yeah, like,
Galgamon.
the
The
cope
extra levels
is,
matter.
the cope is someone might take it to 128, but it's like Mitama. Well, we're not expecting many,
Much
if
more than that.
any.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, it'll be funny in a side event.
All
All
for
Force, real deck, very real deck.
I think it's real, but is it like can it outspeed the rest of the format?
If you're
And
on
like can it see its speed?
if you're on Melga package, like if you're on the Garuru
Oh,
bottom
I
end,
suppose. Yeah, you do have the ability to play Garuru cards. Uh, yeah.
it's like a real version of the Garurumon OTK, where you filter all of your unsuspends into your hand. You go, oh boy, it's
All
time.
the tamers. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
Like, I
Huh.
think it's an easy can top 32.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think it's fine. I think it's a decent deck.
It's under
People,
shine, but
you have like Leomon package if you still want to play that.
yeah, I just
You
don't
have
think you need to. I think like if you're giving Billstar like the Guru package for its like last hurrah, I think this is currently the best look All Force can have for the format
mm-hmm. Blocker
until they
evade is
get
not bad.
until they get like more real cards and the Gurumon package gets hit.
Yeah. And what's next? Pure Greymon?
Yeah, just
Well,
War
War Greymon,
Grey.
no Black War Greymon. Huh?
Yeah, just regular War Greymon.
Yeah, it's like 32. It's a Greymon. I don't think it's like it has more kill power than Black War Greymon, but less defense. It's like Sword and Shield basically. Like this deck has no defensive line.
Yeah, like you're just trying to kill them. You're just gonna push up and
You're just trying to kill. Like your defensive line is like the illusion of like a blocker that like can't be deleted by effects, and you're pretty big.
yes, which
But
means Retail is not gonna kill you. But besides
the
that,
first time,
yeah, because what? Yeah, they're barely even like Greymon, Greymon X, and then you go Metal
maybe
Grey.
Sagittarius, yeah, Agu X, maybe.
I guess I mean if you're pitching the 2/5s first, then you've got 2 layers of thing, but then you're like worst case you could crash 2 shitters and a Merva into it and just guarantee that it's
Yeah,
gone.
it's a fine, like you get the reboot for the turn. It's a fine deck. It does its thing. It has a very funny yellow. If you're on the War Greymon X antibody, it has a very funny yellow vaccine matchup because the Greymon is all turns when a card is removed from the security gain of memory. So you're basically taxing the yellow players. That's really funny.
That is pretty good. And I guess
But
there's like both of these Greymon packages also could just put Dorvik plus Ragnar in as just like a I don't want to think no more.
yeah, this game's over.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's Greymon. Like,
Oh wait, the Merva was Merva Cross.
then this is. I mean, I would put them about the same place. I don't think Shotmon has a much bigger niche than Merva. I think Shotmon is probably better than Merva,
Yeah.
but like Gravity Crush, Blinding Ray is still fine. Shotmon is like it's one of those like aggro decks that Shotmon like cross 7.
Yeah.
has more tools to deal with other stuff, but I think the game is like kind of moving past it a little bit. There
Uh,
haven't been like a crazy amount of innovations, and it's not getting support. And Cross 2 is definitely not support for that deck.
yeah. I think 70. The Knights is like it's either side event tier or just straight up just cat.
What Royal Knights?
Yeah, I think it's too slow.
Um, NA like I don't know. Royal Knights NA they kind of like it a bit.
They like it, but and they thought BT14 was slow, which is still baffling to me.
I
But
think like 128 is like a fair placement.
I guess.
I don't think the deck is like the deck has decent matchups. It's just like Anubis. The deck is also like it's basically like I need the bullet for the right situation. If you don't find that guy, then like you have to spend a turn searching, and then by then like you have a different problem that I need to answer.
Yeah, I would like to think that instead of being on like Poor Cooper,
Mm-hmm.
well, I guess other people are going to be on play cost reduction, so I guess you're still stuck on Poor Cooper. But I would like to think that maybe instead of being fully on like your draw pitch engine, that maybe they're on floodgates as well, and they hold like Anubis hostage with a Psychmon and
And
then run it into security and go. Even if it's not like kill turn Omnimon, they do um like 4 bodies on board, one of them is Lord Knight, and just go, sure, it's not I'm not gonna kill you this turn, but Lord Knight's gonna give me back like 5 memory when you try and do Bombo. So like if
it's
they
a
do
fine deck.
that, then maybe. But yeah, I don't see it like even in top 64. Happy to be proven wrong, but I just don't
Happy to be
think.
proven wrong, but it's a deck for sure.
Yeah.
It's for the people that like got their max rarity version of the deck, and now they're just trying to get more mileage out of it.
Also, Zudo Ace is just there to kill everyone that isn't named Gankumon or Alphamon.
True.
Speaking of Zudo Ace,
It's blue
Blue
hybrid, I
Hybrid.
suppose. It's fine. Minimum one
Tommy's at
top
4.
128.
Tommy's at 4.
Tommy's a 4. It's like it's fine. Like blue hybrid adapts people that I don't know why you would still actively like choose to play blue hybrid unless you want to play Koji hybrid, which I think is a much more like dynamic deck. But
Probably because realistically, Dianamon, like
oh,
You put
sure,
Dianamon
sure.
as your like
But
top end.
yes, Dianamon just kind of like again, Dianamon is literally the new 6 for these like fringe blue decks. You just go, oh, new level 6 that does a lot of stuff. Yes, sir. I'll take a Dianamon, please.
Like All Force is a specialized deck, but like and I'd say well like, we put Dianamon here with the rest like the highest blue deck, but like basically
Yeah,
any
yeah.
blue deck in top 128 can just go I'm missing 2 level 6s, here's 2 Dianamon, and it will win you a game.
It's fine.
I guess speaking of that,
So
Apollomon for like red
this is what
aggro.
promo territory. This is like
Yeah,
all the promo decks.
like I want to put like just generic red aggro is
Oh, for Apollo.
yeah, like the Greymon box all requires you to have Greymon in name, right? Greymon or Omni
Yeah,
in name, so you can't run it there, but like
I don't
generic
know what
red
like
aggro.
it's a lot hard. Like technically, you could play it in like red hybrid if you want as like a copy, because like it like checks for a decent amount of damage. Uh,
Yeah, you won't have
plus
ADP though because you don't have 10 warriors. Yeah, I don't know. Red aggro side event.
it's the side of it. Um,
All right, now we're in promo territory.
promos.
Um, side event, side event.
Okay, what is this? Oh yeah, Ragnar's bad.
Ragnar's
Fish.
Ragnar's bad. Fish.
Okay, Fish is not bad. It's just the best deck, but nobody wants to play. The deck just has too much of a ceiling.
You're not
Okay,
playing it at nationals, that's for sure. You're not going,
that's for
yeah,
sure.
I'm gonna move these very specific cards around.
You're hanging out in a Discord server, cooking this deck to take it to locals and maybe a side event.
You're
That's
there
what
at
you're
the
doing.
post-event barbecue, but you are certainly not in the kitchen during the event.
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, do something in a side event.
Bugs with the promo Quagamon. That got so the reason why we included Grandis, it's just because of like the Quagamon. The Quagamon helps Grandis, but it also helps like the other decks. Like Quagamon is genuinely really good in in Leopardmon. But like Granis getting a 2k DP increase actually matters a lot because you can usually get to 16 without having to burst now. Sorry, no, you get to 16 natively, and now without having to burst to get an extra 2k, you can go to 18, which checks everything. If you get the one of Grand Quagamon, then congratulations, you're really good at the game, and you deserved it. That was epic, brother. Um, it makes it can break wards. It's a stack deck that can break wards, I guess.
But yeah, it's not.
You're waiting for BT16.
Yeah. Do you think it cracks 128? I don't even know that anyone's thinking about it. Like, if you're not playing Bloom, you're on
It does not
Leopard.
crack 128. It's a side event deck at best. At best.
The promos. Speaking of side event, Machine is
What is that? Is that machine as
Machine.
well?
Yeah, Machine's a virus. It dies
Wait, didn't we already
horrendously.
categorize machine?
No,
No, I swear we talked about machine.
no. We talked about Machine when we were talking about Raremon and how
Oh
that card
yeah.
does not help Diaboromon. Yeah,
Uh,
Machine. I don't know. I just think if there's anyone on vaccines, they go, okay, Angemon for 2. Get rid of the robot.
it's also, it loses to Angemon, it loses to Arrestrodomon. It doesn't have the speed to keep up. You need to set up multiple tamers. You have an amount of protection. Anubis doesn't care though, because you're definitely not clearing that board.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
then like Davis, okay, bro, Fenglong minus 17 million.
yeah. You have to be on EX1 to prevent DP reduction, and that's it.
Then you're playing EX1 machine.
Yeah. I don't know. I know that like there's a
It
build
has
out there
this.
that has like Ramon like machine turbo or something, but
It's the machine is like fine into Fenrir because of like the BT11 one. If you have the analog, you can like have a defensive line because like Fenrir has to pop your Digimon. You like make them pop the BT11 machine, and then like whoa, analog floating to the EX one machine Dramon, and then whoa, you steal so much memory, and whoa, you stop the OTK, and they still have like 7 bodies out. So it's like
yeah, you still explode.
you still explode. Sakuya, um,
Side event. I feel like we could maybe order side event, but realistically,
Examon. No. Okay. Examon is actually kind of a fucker. Like that promo is really, really good.
All right, let's actually look at that. What is this? Dracomon, right?
Yeah.
This
Yes.
when your Groundramon is played.
Yep.
So if you just push this out of raising, you drop a Groundramon, and it just turns into a Wingdramon. Wingdramon, end of turn, DNA into.
Yeah, because it literally does like the whole combo because of the inherit. So like when your Groundra is played, you play a Wingdra from your hand as well for free.
Oh, interesting. So you could be on a
Oh no,
4.
sorry. Yeah, without paying the cost.
Oh, you made Digivolve without paying the 8. Yeah. So the inherit allows you to be on a 4 and just warp up. The other card is you're just paying
If you
3 more.
slam and then you Evo,
How much does Groundramon cost?
because remember the level 5s can be used for DNAing as well. Like so, if you click on Groundramon in between the
Yeah.
Breaker and the Slayer, yep. It also has the end of turn Jawgrass.
Yeah. I mean, both Groundramon and Wingdramon both have a.
Yeah, and it's using a Dramon, so you don't even need like the Slayer or the you don't need the Slayer or the Break Dramon right away. You can just do it with the 5s, and then you still have Examon as like you can immediately force the stack deck out of raising to fight you.
Yeah.
And
And
Anubis is going to struggle. Like if there's a turn like 2 or turn like a turn 2 turn 3 like Examon, and they have to raise, like they kind of struggle because they don't get value off of their cards.
yeah, like you're committing like 10 memory or something. Or I guess technically if you evolve into a 4.
You're passing an amount, but you're not passing an amount that like
Yeah, you're passing
matters
like
too much.
9-10 memory.
No. You don't pass that much.
Yeah. If you push a 3 out of raising, and then drop a 7,
So
and then
let's
you
assume you
evolve for
have
3, it goes, that's like Exa for 10. If you evolve into a 4 for 2, then it evolves for 3 when you drop a 7, so you've spent 9 for an Exa, which, I mean, still turn 2 if they've passed you 2 or more memory is, like, 7's
like
an awkward number to use.
it's more that like if the Examon player gets to go out first before the opponent is prepared, you can set them back a lot, and like the Anubis can't really raise because the Examon will just force combat unless you then do Anubis in the back or like Marva in the back or something stupid, you know?
Yeah,
Or like you have to change your approach to be um Saber Dramon in the back. Like you deliberately like have the Saber Dramon in the raising and then you raise it out, and then obviously they're not gonna force you to attack with that. But then
true.
they also it's like they also need the Slayer Dramon to force combat. It's like it helps the deck overall and it gives the deck a real niche, uh more than like we're giving credit for. I don't think it's a side event deck. I think it's very much a real deck.
Okay. I mean, I'm
But like
willing to
how
believe it.
real?
More than Knights, more than
Safe.
Grace Nova.
Yeah, it's like a safe like 128. Like it would not surprise me if somebody did well with Examon.
It's probably like Belphamon, where it's just like the specialist that's figured out the matchups, like the
Mm-hmm,
matchups
mm-hmm.
they need. Like you've already made a case for it, like winning into Anubis or being like problematic into Anubis. You just need to see enough Anubis players that haven't read Examon,
It's also good
and
into like Devas as well. If the Deva player just like slams the Deva and then like passes turn,
yeah,
you just go and you just like jog rest and start controlling the board with Examon. It's like it's a bully deck. I think it's fine. It's a decent deck.
yeah. I guess it makes it really hard for them to actually play Devas. If you're forcing them combat start of main,
Yep.
because I guess you don't need to attack and you never cause a blast evo.
Yep.
And yeah, if you're forcing them to attack, they're not turning into like a Veemon to force the deletion.
It's a fine deck.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
But yeah, this was the tier list for
I love that we have 3 of Harry's deck back to back.
true.
Alpha Amphi Examon.
True. Um yeah, this is EX5. I don't think we've missed anything.
If we did, like, Rookie Rush is like the other thing that you could argue like isn't on the list. Like we talked about like
Oh, that is
Ukromon
true.
boosting consistency of some
Like
decks.
Yellow Hybrid and Rookie Rush for sure. Like they're decks that people will play sometimes.
Yeah, Yellow Hybrid is probably very similar to Yellow Vaccine in terms of placements. The Yellow Hybrid players have been playing the deck for far too long. And then Rookie Rush is very ignorant.
But yeah, if you've listened to this long in the video, drop a dog emoji in the chat for the
Heck yeah.
dog meta.
Yeah, and I mean, it's nice to do long form content like this. We'll be back with the podcast like in February or something. And then we'll
Yeah,
be
currently it's on hold.
consistent. Yeah, we're on hold, but when we're back, hopefully with new overlays, my ass will get in gear. And we'll
It's also that BT14 just hasn't been that interesting. Like EX5 is coming around the corner. I'm sure like you will have like a ton of content for people to watch, like games, different kinds of like tier lists and discussions and stuff.
yeah, it'll be exciting for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is our thoughts on EX5 pre-ban list. 15. I don't know if maybe we'll just do post-ban list because who cares about like the 1 week
Oh, I
of.
think yeah, you just do post ban list.
But yeah.
It's more interesting.
You got anything else? I mean, you're working on something. Go sub to Marcio's channel.
If you remember to put my the link in the description.
Yeah, it'll be pinned or something. Drop a
Or
dog
something.
emoji and then go drop a sub on Marcio's channel. This was his idea, and we also just want to build him up so you can see the new stuff that he drops.
It's what
Also,
I'm
I
looking
guess
for.
it leaks. I'm working on the DP minus video essay. So for those of you that asked for DP minus, that's what's coming next.
You heard it here first towards the end of the video. This is for the people that like, oh, quick, shuffle things around so people think that like this is what we actually think of the tier list instead of don't just like skip to the end. Ah, fuck, dude. Put
Examon top 1. Let's go.
Examon top 1. Put Anubis in like side. Put Anubis in the side events. Yeah, this is good. What else? What's like an outrageous pick? Grace Nova.
Great. Yeah, we were both looking at the same.
Put it in like the top of Ken top 32. Yeah.
Yeah, there we
This is
go.
gonna be gonna fucking skip the video. This is you're gonna be like, what? These dudes, they don't. Whoa, you think Eximon's the best deck, bro?
W.
Listen to the video, you cretin.
Listen to the
Okay,
video,
bye-bye.
drop a dog, drop a sub, and we'll see
Drop
you
a
in the
dog,
next
drop
one.
a sub.